Well, that was a short break. All right, Kevin, you got a full crowd here. Everyone's interested to hear all about Microsoft, and you're going to teach us about XP?
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. Excellent.
Or, well, kind of newer version of XP.
Kevin from Microsoft, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thanks very much. Well, welcome again. Thank you so much again for being here. Yeah, we're going to talk about Windows 10 for Business. I've got about 90 minutes of content that I'm going to squeeze into 30 minutes, okay? Hopefully you'll find this very useful. And I asked earlier how many of you are running Windows 10. I was actually kind of surprised. It was a smaller number than I usually see because a lot of people have been doing the upgrade, at least on their personal machines. And Microsoft has really made it easy for you to do that. And I think I can safely say, because I've done this presentation a number of times, and I'm overwhelmed by the response of how positive the experience has been for so many people. Such a large percentage of people have really been also surprised that their upgrade in place from Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1 has been really, really good. And so I hope that has been the case for you as well. But I want to talk specifically today about how, on behalf of you and behalf of your users in particular, if you're in IT or if you're working with the people you support, how can we make this better for them and what do we have for them? Because this digital economy is a real thing. People are connected all the time. They have the devices they want to use for work. They have the devices they want to use for personal stuff. You know what? That's maybe the same device, right? Ultimately, my goal, my dream, and maybe you share this dream with me, is that I have one device that I carry in my pocket, okay? I might have to have bigger pockets, but I want to have one device in my pocket that I can use everywhere. And I mean everywhere. It should be my main productivity machine. When I get to my office, I want to put it on my table. I want it to connect wirelessly to my big screen, my keyboard, my mouse. I want to be able to use the same applications and then take it somewhere else and work with it. If I need to work with it on a small screen, I can do that as well. I have applications that shape themselves to the interface that I have available to me at the time. But it's the full application. It's well, let's call it a universal application that can work on those different screen sizes. That's what I want. Microsoft is the only company building operating systems and supporting a platform that is actually there. We're actually there. So I'm really happy to share that. But we have challenges. What kind of threats are keeping you up at night? Now, the last session was a really good one on social engineering. Unfortunately, Windows 10 can't help you with that piece of it. You know, people are still going to be people in the end. But with regard to passwords and password security, I would much rather know that I don't have to worry about passwords anymore. That people are being authenticated based on something that they can't change, they can't control. Hey, how about their face? Just log them in and secure them based on that information, or their fingerprint, or their iris. So things like that. And do we have things in the operating system that can protect against other well-known threats? We'll talk about some of those in a minute. What about the devices? Are the devices secured? Are the applications secured? When that application is a company application managing company data, do I know that it's okay that it runs even though it's on a personal device? And I know that company information can't go across that boundary of company to private or vice versa. They can't accidentally paste something into Twitter that they just a second ago copied from a corporate document or some personal or confidential information or customer information. That's what I want to have. What about when new technologies evolve? What about new hardware, new capabilities? Everybody has the great desire to have the next best thing, the next best device, the next best form factor. Can we support that? In business, can we support that? Is it getting easier today to manage your infrastructure? Probably not. More likely it's getting harder to manage because there's more complexity with regard to more devices, more device choice, the ways we want to allow people to work. So what I'm going to talk about in this brief session here are these pillars, really. And these are really the pillars that Microsoft is addressing with regard to the improvements in Windows 10 and going forward with regard to our people and their productivity, making it a familiar experience. About the innovation in devices and being able to support those devices and device form factors and giving the flexibility of having a common core operating system that runs on all these devices. Being able to protect your devices and protect your users and protect your company information. All these different ways we need to enable protection and security in a new world of security and unfortunately a new world of threats that are out there. And then how do we manage for continuous innovation? When Microsoft comes out with new versions of the operating system or new improvements to the operating system, how are those rolled out? And are they rolled out in a way that is just going to be every so often there's another update and all the consumers and everybody in business all get updated all at the same time? Or do I, in business, have a choice? do I have some flexibility or do I have some power and control over when those updates actually happen? Because in business, we need to do that. We need to make sure that we are testing everything before it actually gets rolled out to our business for the business users. So my first demonstration here really has to do with productivity. And really, this is the only demonstration I have, so it's going to be a longer piece of my talk. The rest of it's going to be talking about some of the security improvements and things like that. But I did want to give folks a chance to see just what we get with Windows 10. Now, this is it. I mean, this is what people want to see. And the reason I say it that way is because the initial impression people had with Windows 8 was, this is awesome, Windows 8 is terrific. No. Okay, actually, you know what, interesting fact. Windows 8 was the most highly ranked operating system for Microsoft at the time. Now, that was among users who had touchscreens. Yeah, but if you didn't have a touchscreen, if you were used to using Windows 7 or something earlier, Windows 8 was a shock to the system. And rightly so. It was an environment that had kind of two faces. It had a start screen with a whole bunch of new modern applications and running at full screen, and on a tablet that looks great, but if I only have a keyboard and mouse, not so much. And then I've got the desktop applications, but that's a whole other world. So it was confusing. This is what our users want to see. This is what we wanted to see. This is what my mother-in-law wants to see if I upgrade her from XP. I have to do that yet. It's familiar. It's a desktop. It's got our icons saved to the desktop. I have icons in my taskbar. I can launch these applications that I use consistently very easily. And I have a start menu. Yay! Start menu's back. And the reason I say it that way is because that's what the people in the Windows Insider program said when they saw it for the first time. Yay, the start menu's back. And the next thing they said was, can you make it bigger? Yeah, we can make it bigger. So the start menu, for those of you that were in the Insider program, you realize we actually went through a lot of iterations and changes to the start menu based on feedback. I highly recommend, if you're not in the Insider program, you should probably consider doing that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But, I mean, we have flexibility here in terms of what's familiar. So here's my most recently and most frequently used applications. Applications such as Notepad and other document management applications, quick access to recently used documents. I have recently added applications listed here. So if I want to run this network speed test that I just installed, I could do that. Easy access to the File Explorer, settings, and so on. If I want to get the All Apps list, just click on that. There's the list of all applications. All alphabetized, easy to find, so if I'm looking for that particular Microsoft Office product, go into the folder and there they are. I can click on one of these letters here and I can very quickly jump in the alphabet to some other location to find the items at that point. I have the ability to drag these over here as well, so if I want to bring the voice recorder over into the start menu, I can do that. I can resize these as well to the various sizes. Let's go ahead and make that prominent there. I can categorize these. So we have a lot of flexibility among the live tiles that we have here and being able to organize our life the way we want to do that with this. So it's very familiar, it's very easy to use, very flexible, and it doesn't get in the way of the entire screen. I've still got the desktop. Now we have the ability to run modern applications, and so but when I say modern applications, what we're now calling universal applications. Here's the weather application. Now, in Windows 8, how did it run? It ran something like this, right? It ran full screen. Well, here's it running in Windows 10. It's just another application running on the desktop. It's, for all intents and purposes, a desktop application that we can resize, we can move around, we can see side by side with other traditional desktop applications, Win32 applications like Notepad. So here's Notepad. I've got PowerPoint running, of course. A couple instances of Notepad there. I can launch other modern applications such as the Maps application. And again, being able to work with these side by side. I can drag an application to the right. It'll dock it there. And notice I have a kind of a quick assist that says, you know what, people most often are choosing to dock another one to the other side. So we're just going to give you a quick selector. You can choose which one you want to put on the other side of the screen. So just nice little usability functionality like that. Now, they're running all alongside each other. So I can, in this desktop mode, and I have a reason for calling it desktop mode, I'll get to that in a second. In this desktop mode, all applications behave like desktop apps. It's just what we expect. So for the sake of productivity, for the sake of that transition from Windows 7 to Windows 10, this is going to be a really good thing. Also, I might not have a desktop. I might not have a keyboard, I should say. I might not have a mouse. I might only have a tablet. So when I pull my keyboard off, I'm getting asked, hey, do you want to switch to tablet mode? Now I'm going to switch to tablet mode. What does tablet mode look like? It looks like tablet applications. They're full screen. I can switch between them by swiping in from the left, so there's my selector, and all the applications work as if they're tablet applications. Full screen. I can go to the bottom there, right next to the circle, which is Cortana, to the right of that, and there's a task selector there as well. I can bring up the start menu. Oh, full screen start menu. Looks a lot like the start screen in Windows 8. So this is tablet mode. It makes sense for me when I don't have a keyboard, if I maybe not have a mouse, I simply want to touch this tablet that I'm using, or I don't have those other options. But if I plug the, let's go back to an application here. If I plug this back in, again, I'm going to get a notification. You want to go back to exit tablet mode, kind of go what I call desktop mode. There we go. So now we're back to our mode where everything's just a desktop application. Now, I can also manage multiple desktops. So if I click this task view here, notice I have the ability to, on the bottom right-hand side, if you can see new desktop. If I click on that, I have 2 desktops currently available to me, or 3, or 4. And I can actually move applications to various desktops if I want to kind of organize my work in that way. So let's put the weather app on desktop 2, and maybe, see, if I mouse over these, I can actually see what the applications are, and then I can move them over like this. And as I close desktops, applications will actually move to the desktop just to the left, and eventually get back to 1 here. So that's the ability to manage multiple desktops. That's something that we've had to use, added into third-party tools and so on. We could do that in the past. Now Microsoft's including that in Windows 10. Now I want to talk to you about Cortana. Here's Cortana, ask me anything. If I click in the Cortana box here, the search box, she's giving me a nice little greeting. She's showing my calendar and some friends that have birthdays today, what happened in the last Timberwolves game. These are all based on my preferences because Cortana is my personal assistant. And you all have Cortana in Windows 10 to be your personal assistant. Now, how do personal assistants work in the real world? Real personal assistants working with their clients, we actually talked to them. We said, what do you do? And they said, you know what we do? We actually have a notebook. We keep information about our clients that will help us better serve them in their preferences, in their schedule, in their calendar, what they've got going on, what kind of food they like. These are all things that a personal assistant records. And so Cortana is actually doing that for me as well. She's got a notebook. And I can set preferences on my restaurant choices, on whether or not I want her looking at my calendar for various items, such as flights that I have coming up, and she'll actually give me flight information. She'll pop up at certain times and say, hey, based on, and this is information she has, based on the fact that I know you have this flight coming up, and you're so far from the airport, and the traffic's looking like this, you should probably leave for the airport now. So nice to have a little helping hand there sometimes. I can connect this to other accounts as well. Notice I can connect Cortana to LinkedIn. She can see my calendar and information in Office 365, so she can find out my flight information. I can even ask her to get me an Uber if I need to get a ride. And nice thing about Cortana is also I can talk to her. Hey, Cortana, get me an Uber home.
Sure thing. Let's see if there's an Uber available to home.
I wonder if I can use this maybe by the microphone here. Okay, so she actually will. Now, notice this travel is more than 100 miles, so Uber's probably not a good option for me going home. But that's another interesting thing. She knows my address. That's my home address, by the way, so if you all want to come visit, go ahead. So she knows information about me, and she can help serve me better in that way. We can ask Cortana things. I can either click on this microphone button in order to get her to ask, or I can simply say, as I did, hey, Cortana, what's the weather like at home? Hey, Cortana. What's the weather like at home?
It's currently 50 and lightly raining.
Hey, Cortana, show me that in Celsius. Oh, you know what? I think I got out of the context there. Let's do that again. Hey, Cortana, what's the weather going to be like this week?
The forecast shows there'll be a mix of sun and clouds, with highs up to the high 50s, except tomorrow when there'll be rain.
Show me that in Celsius.
Here's that temperature in Celsius.
Show me that in Kelvin.
Here's that temperature in Kelvin.
Right. Remind me to call my wife when I get to the gym.
Okay, I can remind you to call my wife when you get to the gym. Is that right?
Yes. So notice it's got the address of my, yes.
Sure thing.
Right. So it had the address of my gym. She knows my preferences. She knows the gym I go to is Lifetime Fitness in Plymouth, so she has the address. By GPS, she'll actually remind me. And you know what's nice? I don't have to be carrying my Surface at the time because I've got the same experience on my phone. My phone's in my bag. My phone is running Windows 10 Mobile. It's got Cortana. I'll more likely be carrying my phone, and it's going to buzz at me when I get to the gym and remind me to call my wife. So that's what we call a mobility, a true mobility. It's a mobility of experience. It's going from one device to another, but having all my preferences, having things such as my personal assistant follow me wherever I go and help me in these sorts of things. And we can do also silly party tricks with Cortana as well. Tell me a joke.
Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana.
So you can have fun with her. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
All right. So have fun with her, but more importantly, use Cortana to actually help you with the things you need help with, the reminders, the schedules, the temperatures, the flights, the bookings, whatever. It's all great stuff. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, I do want to actually show you a couple of search items. Actually, I don't have a lot of time left. I'll skip those. But search is very, very very rich. In fact, if I search for something that she doesn't have an answer for, she will open up the browser. She'll open up your default search engine. Of course, my default is Bing. And if I'm looking for a restaurant, let's see, a particular one that I use for the demo here. So there, it just brought it up in Bing, and I can click on this. And it'll open up this website for this particular restaurant. Now, what's nice about this browser, this is the Edge browser. The Edge browser is a optimized, very fast, very efficient, minimal interference with plugins and other pieces, although there is going to be plugin support coming early next year. But notice I've got, a little suggestion up there from Cortana. She's actually integrated into Edge as well. And she noticed the information about this restaurant. She actually has directions, hours, and more. So I can click on that, and look, Cortana is actually there for me. So I can see information about the restaurant, the hours, the reviews, pictures, and so on. I can select things in the browser, and I can ask Cortana about it. So there's an address, and she'll see some details about what's at that address, and so on. If I'm looking at the menu and I'm not sure what a particular item is, well, I can actually very quickly select it. So if I'm not sure what tagliarini is, let's actually select that word and ask Cortana about it. She'll pull information about that. So it's an integrated experience for the sake of search and getting information. I can get and take notes on pages. So here's the note taking. So I can actually circle things and share. If I go down here, maybe circle the weekly specials. I can highlight items. I'm doing this with my pen, but you can do this with your fingers as well. And up at top right-hand corner, I can actually save this notation. I can share this notation with someone via email or Facebook. So it integrates and allows to share, and I can go ahead and exit this mode as well. So that's the Edge browser. All right, that's hopefully going to improve productivity. Now let's talk about the devices. It's a converged platform. So it's the same core Windows 10 running on all these devices you see here. Things such as the Surface Hub, which is the big display that you see at the bottom in the center. That's our conference room display. For meetings, it has video and audio, it has multi-touch, it's a great, beautiful display. For things such as Xbox One. Has anyone here installed Windows 10 on their Xbox One yet? And Xbox One is in preview now, but it will be running Windows 10 before the end of the year. The HoloLens, that visor-looking thing, our immersive augmented reality device that works with holograms in your world and places them in your real world and allows you to work with them or walk around them. That device is running Windows 10. And all these small devices, the phones, the PCs, the laptops, the all-in-ones, even on down to the Raspberry Pi that you see in the very top left, that little tiny credit card size card that actually does have a version of Windows 10 that runs on it for the sake of makers and education. It's a converged platform. You build your universal application, and it's easy to then have those universal applications run on any of these devices very simply. That's how we can do things such as having one app that's built for the PC actually runs on the phone. and actually adjusts to the screen size, adjusts to the type of input that is available at the time, and giving you the full rich capabilities. That's why Microsoft has 2 phones coming up very soon here, that when you plug them into a big display and keyboard and mouse, you get a full display and keyboard and mouse functionality that's being driven by your phone. And the same Excel application that you launch on your PC is the same Excel application that runs on the phone. Yeah, it runs a different way when it's a small form factor, but you get the full rich experience when you're running on a big screen. That's that one device dream that I was talking about. And this also works great on existing devices. If your device came with Windows 7 or newer, then it's very likely that you won't have any issues running Windows 10 on it. There's no major changes to the hardware requirements. The application model, the security model is all the same, so compatibility is not an issue. And the recommended way of getting to Windows 10 is an in-place upgrade, not the wipe and restore, or wipe and reinstall everything, and the migration. That's a thing of the past. You can still do that, but you shouldn't. You don't have to. Let's talk about modern security threats. I need to be able to protect the identity of my users, but as I said earlier, I would like them to be able to log in with something other than a password. It's something that they can't change, something about them, about the device they're using. I want to be able to protect the information that they're using, the company information, but I want to keep it partitioned away from the personal information, but I still want to allow them to use their own device, their personal device. I want to be able to protect that device as well. Now, on the identity protection side of things, we have a couple technologies. I want to focus on the Passport and Windows Hello. Passport is a new method of securing, well, actually adding another factor of authentication to authentication for applications that will support it. So my login to Office 365 should be as easy as basically logging into my PC. I want a single sign-on. And this Passport is a certificate that for the first time I bring that device up and I authenticate to a domain or I authenticate to Azure Active Directory. And yes, I can actually join an Azure Active Directory domain with my PC now with Windows 10. I have a certificate that's installed in the TPM on that hardware, and it's uniquely tagged to that piece of hardware. So now not only did my initial username and password log me in, but it also associated that with this PC. So from now on, if I'm using this PC, I've got that certificate. That's the trust right there. And I can add to that the capabilities of logging on with my face. So if I have a camera that supports it, this is an Intel RealSets camera, or the cameras that are in the new Surface and the new Surface Book, the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book, I can walk up to that PC and allow it to recognize me. Now remember the commercial with the little kids, and one of the little kids, the voiceover says, and she'll one day never have to remember a password, she'll log in with her smile. I love that. That's what this is about. It's facial recognition, it's fingerprint recognition, it's iris recognition. Our new phones that are coming out in a couple weeks actually do something similar to facial recognition, except they're actually just looking at your iris, but you just hold up your phone and log in. That's pretty nice. Being able to protect credentials as well. So this is the, I'm going to skip a couple things because I'm moving pretty quickly through some of these. For the sake of security, let's talk about pass the hash. Pass the hash is an attack where someone gains access, administrative access to a machine, and is able to pull credentials out of memory. So if they have a tool that can do this, and there's tools that are free, believe me, I've seen them, pull a hash out and use that credential to get into other machines. Then you own that machine. Now you get into that one as administrator. You get other credentials. You own others and so on. So eventually, that person ends up owning the whole network. We have technology in Windows 10 called Credential Guard that is making pass the hash a thing of the past. It's guarding that security authority that's in Windows. That memory is no longer accessible, even to an administrator. The Credential Guard is running in a virtual partition. Yes, we're using virtualization by default now in Windows 10. So you have that ability, and that locks that up. I want to protect the information. What about enterprise data protection? I want to be able to set up policy in my business that says, yeah, it's a personal device, but if you agree, we'll register that device with the company, we'll push or allow you to download applications that are company-managed applications, and when you use those company applications, that data that those manage, that's company information. And you won't have the ability to copy and paste it to a personal application. The operating system will actually stop you. It'll warn you, say, hey, no, that's company information, you can't do that. Or you can override it. So you have the ability and flexibility to set some of those settings. Data from those applications is automatically encrypted on the device. It's encrypted on the hard disk. If you look in the File Explorer, you actually see it in green. And if that device goes to someone else or is unregistered with the company, you would decide to give it to your child, the company information is gone. It's no longer available. Applications as well need to be trusted, and that trust needs to be earned. Now I'm going to skip ahead on device protection. One more thing I wanted to leave you with, because I am out of time, is Windows Update for Business. I want control over how updates are rolled out to my business. Yes, it's okay for consumers to be able to do the updates from Microsoft Update, but I need to have a little bit more control over that in business. So you will have the ability to do that. You can actually set the rollout rings, configure that for your company. Very similar to what you're doing already with Windows Server Update Services. This is a cloud-based solution, so you'll actually use that. And it'll look something like this. Again, I am out of time, so that's how we'll manage for continuous innovation. Consumer devices will continue to get their updates through Microsoft Update. Special systems can be locked down so that they'll be in a long-term servicing branch where if it's an air traffic control system or a medical device or something like that, it will not get updates very, very frequently, and you'll control that. And the business user is kind of in the middle, but that's not a bad thing. It's a thing that you're able to manage with the ability to manage updates. Again, deployment choices are in by default. I'm going to skip the rest of this because I want to point out one thing that you can find this information from this slide deck. So I do want to point out, well, two things. We have an event happening on December 1st in Minneapolis. It's a Windows 10 launch event, Windows 10 and Office 2016. I'm going to be one of the presenters there, so come see me do that. There's some great demos, lots of fabulous prizes. We're really throwing a lot of money at these events. So if you can come on December 1st, there's the link to that. And the link to find this slide deck is here. So if you want to go to aka.ms/envision, you're welcome to download the slides. You can get all the rest of those links and some additional information that I didn't have time to touch on today. I would love to take your questions, but I don't have time for that right now. So I'm going to be hanging out today with everyone. And we'll go ahead, hit me up at the reception. I'd be happy to answer your questions then.
Perfect. I know.
Sound good?
Thank you, Kevin. Trying to squeeze it all in.
I know.
It's tight.
A lot of great stuff. Thank you.
All right, we're not going to allow anybody to take a break because there's only one presentation between me and the Bloody Mary bar. So we are going to get rolling right away onto the next one. And I'm going to allow, we'll open the doors for literally 2 minutes. So if you have to escape to your next session, we will let you out. But that's it. So we'll have to hurry up. But we'll literally 2 minutes, okay?